The string standard functions, there are around 20 standard functions in C. We will see 4 to 5 functions at a time and the programs that follow it with example. Now what is important to remember in the string standard functions is the name of the standard function, what is its purpose, for what purpose we are using that function, and what is the syntax for that function, because these are built in C. It has already been defined in the string.h header file. So only the way it is defined and the purpose for which it is defined, the same way we should use it. Now these string functions, they make our work so much easier. Simply by using the function you can copy strings, you can reverse strings, you can concatenate strings, you can do many applications with strings which will otherwise be a very tedious task for the user. So we will see the set of standard functions that are available in C. First you have the string length function. Remember, all these should be in lowercase, okay. So string length is to determine the length of a string. The syntax is also given, string length of the string whose length is to be found. So length of a string will always be an integer value. So there should be a collecting variable which will collect the value of that length. So it can be 4 or 5 or 15. So string length should not simply hang in the air. Whatever length is returned by this function, it should be collected by a collecting variable. It returns an integer value, that is why it is an integer variable. Next, string copy is to copy a string from one source to another. So the syntax is strcpy destination comma source. Now here you have to be careful, you have to give the string which is to be copied as a second argument. The source comes as a second argument. To which place it has to be copied, that should come first. So if you make a mistake over here, the compiler will get confused. Now if you see, the next one is also to copy a string, but here if you see, it copies certain characters only. In this strcpy you can only copy the entire string. Suppose you don't want to copy the entire string, only first 2 or first 3 characters, in that case you can use this strncpy. The syntax is the same for both, except that how many characters you have to copy, that you have to mention as a third argument. Next you have the string compare function, compare itself to find out if 2 strings are same or not. So this also will return one integer value. If it returns 0, that means the strings are equal or identical. If it returns 1 or any other value other than 0, that means the strings are not identical. So here also there has to be an integer value as a collecting variable, that we will be seeing in the program. And string I compare, this also compares 2 strings, but C is case sensitive. So in the first compare function, if the 2 strings are different, that is if one is lowercase and one is uppercase, but the strings are the same also, it will return only something other than 0. That means the strings are not identical. Suppose we don't want to worry about the case, we only want to know that the characters in both the strings are the same, whether it's uppercase or lowercase. In that case we have to go to the string I compare. String I compare will ignore the case and compare the 2 strings. Now we will see how this is used in a program. So remember to introduce the string.h header file, because all the string functions are defined only there. So now we are going to do around 5 manipulations in strings. That's why I have declared 4 strings, text1, text2, rep1 and rep2. And we have to collect integer values, that's why I have given integer variables over here. Integer len, diff1, diff2, that is to collect the integer values. Next I am printing, enter the text. Now here the text I have entered is good, and remember the first letter is a G, capital G. So getS is to get the text. Now to get the length of this function, what am I doing? String length of this text1 and into this collecting variable, which is of type integer. So this will just return the length of this text that I have entered. We don't have to do anything else, we just have to use the function. So the length of this will be 4, that is entered into this len. So now len contains the value 4. Then I am printing the length of the string %d len. So this will be the output, length of the string is 4. This is how this is one of the easiest operations done using the string functions. Now text 1 is containing this value good. Now what I am doing, I am next using the string copy function. Now text 1 is containing good, I want to copy it to text 2. So text 1 is the source and text 2 is the destination. So I am copying that string text 1 to text 2. Now I want to see whether the string is copied. So for that reason I should display text2 and see whether it is the same as text1. So for that I am printing f, the copied string is %s text2. So this should print good as the output, only then what we have done is correct. So here also I am not doing anything, I am simply using the string copy function and I am copying two strings. Now the next function that I am going to do is string copy using only certain characters. So for that reason I am leaving these two strings and I am accepting two new strings from the user. So enter source string getters of rep1, destination string getters of rep2. So the two strings that I have entered are wonderful and beautiful. So I want to copy only the first three characters from wonderful to beautiful. So how am I going to do it? For that we have a function called strncpy, destination first, then source, then the characters to be copied. So here rep1 is the source, which is nothing but wonderful, rep2 is the destination, which is nothing but beautiful, and three characters. So what happens, the first three characters will override the first three characters of beautiful. So this will be the output, WON, this first three will be replaced, UTIFUL. So this is how the output will be displayed. So here the output will not be displayed, it will only be copied. If you want to explicitly see the output, you have to give a printf statement and you have to display it. So that is what I have done over here. I am printing f the source string and the destination string, rep1 and rep2. So now I can see whether my string function has done its work. Now the next two functions we are going to see are comparison of two strings, whether they are identical or not. So I am using the same strings that we have seen before and I am going to compare them. I told you this function also returns an integer value. So if it is going to return a value, it has to be collected, for which I have already defined two integer variables. So first we are having the diff1, which accepts rep1 and rep2. See, both these strings are not same, so it will return something other than null. Then I am comparing, ignoring the case good and good, that is text1 and text2. So here it ignores the case both the texts are same, this will return a 0. Then I am checking, if it is equal to 0 I am printing they are identical, if not I am printing they are not identical. Again for the second case, if they are equal to 0 I am printing identical, otherwise not identical. So this is how you are going to use these functions and see on the output screen whether your functions have worked correctly or not.